October 9th. Talking with Tansudiko the other day and put my hand on a tree and then I kind of looked over and there was this caterpillar and it was completely camouflaged. It really did look like part of the tree. It's quite a large caterpillar and it was completely the color of the bark and the same, like the little spots and everything. It was like totally blended in with the bark. I almost put my hand on it. Didn't see it at all. And I thought that's really fascinating that sometimes there's these things all around us that we don't notice. There's things happening around us that we don't notice. Or like if you, not to scare anybody, but if you see a mountain lion, it means one has seen you 30 times. That's what they say. So there's things happening all around us that we're not noticing. And then there's also things that happen on the inside that we aren't noticing. So this can be revealed with something like sanding wood. Tan, Himiko, and Agurk Andreas and myself were sanding that piece of purple heart the other day. And we were sanding it with 220 grit sandpaper, which is pretty good already, pretty fine already. And it was really, really smooth. But then we took the 400 grit to it and these kind of strange dark spots appeared, even though we barely took off anything. And it's not like you're not actually uncovering those spots. Those spots were actually there, but we couldn't notice them yet. So sometimes things have to be clarified before we can notice them. And when you sand a piece of wood and different things in the wood become more visible with the higher and higher grits, the finer and finer quality of sandpaper, it's not that those things were under in any way, because you're barely taking off anything. It's not that those were under. You could use a coarser grit and keep sanding. You'd never see those things. But as you clarify it, only when you clarify it do you see those things. So, of course, we can relate that to the mind. When the mind becomes more clear, we can see these things. We can see the types of clinging and attachment that we couldn't see before. And actually, it was Ajahn Sudanto who pointed out to me one time that a long time ago, a teaching that stuck with me was that if there is suffering, there's some sort of clinging. We can infer that there's some sort of clinging there. So if we're suffering, and look and see how the mind is trying to blame it on various things, and the mind will be grasping at this and that, trying to blame this or that on the suffering, on whatever maybe is happening around us or what's happening in the world. This is the cause of my suffering, that's the cause of my suffering, this person's the cause of my suffering, that person won't stop irritating me, which is the cause of my suffering. If this person would only leave, then I would stop suffering, or if this person would be here, then I would stop suffering, or if Longpor Pasana would come back, then I would stop suffering. Or if there wasn't a katina, then I wouldn't suffer. If there wasn't all these guests, then I wouldn't suffer. Or if I was in a different monastery, I wouldn't suffer. So the mind can grasp at all these things. If there's suffering, it'll be naturally looking for a cause. But then the Buddha says, well, the desire, those three types of desire is the cause of suffering. Tanha is the cause of suffering. That's really amazing to come back to that. And it's so obvious. We've maybe read the Four Noble Truths so many times, but deep down inside, we don't believe them. Deep down inside, we don't believe that desire is the cause of suffering. We want to maybe shirk our responsibility, try to make a case that it's coming from somewhere else. But it's actually really great if we deeply realize that we are causing our own suffering. Because when we realize that, then we can do something about it. If it was just coming from outside, then we can never do anything about it. If the suffering's just coming from external circumstances, then there's nothing we can do. We might as well just suffer forever. But because it's coming from inside, we actually can do something about it. But things have to be clarified. So we need to refine the mind a bit and be able to see these things more clearly. And because we do that here in this monastery, that's why people want to support us. That's why people feel good when they come here. That's why people want to offer katina cloth to the Sangha, is because when people are practicing and trying to clarify these things and trying to see the clinging and the desire that's hidden deep in the heart, trying to extract the thorns of clinging and craving from the heart and thus stop suffering. When people see us trying to do that, then that's inspiring. People want to support that. So that's really, the practice is the root of all this generosity that happens in the monastery. People want to support the practice. So, and the more we take responsibility for our suffering, and the more we try to clarify the mind, the fruits are going to be proportional to how much we're able to do that. After that for reflection this morning.